to the Train Effective podcast, Effective Fam. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're training well, playing well, living well, and just all in all being well. Today, we're going to get right into it, yeah. Just like always, we're going to get right into it. As you can tell by the title, we're talking about motivation and what we need to replace motivation with. And if you don't know what motivation is, it's those spurts of energy and fascination we get when we're motivated, we're driven. But the thing is, these things are temporary sometimes. So, where this is coming from, guys and girls, where I'm getting this topic from is in our Discord, which, if you want to join, you can do down below. I'd highly recommend it. Discord, Instagram comments, DMs, TikTok comments, all this stuff. We see a lot of comments and a lot of feedback about motivation. How do I get motivated? How do I stay motivated? How do I become motivated? How do I maintain motivation? And there's kind of two answers to that question. Some people are motivated to the point where it's kind of an all or nothing. You might see this with a lot of athletes who have came from essentially nothing, came from the dirt, so to speak, and that's their only way out, which is sport or athletics, whatever it might be. But the thing is, if you're not in that predicament, you might see alternatives sometimes. You might see things other than football sometimes. You might see other careers or other paths sometimes. And that's where your motivation can dip sometimes. You know, you might one day you really feel like training, another day you don't feel like training, and then you might not train. One day you feel like eating healthy, the other day you might not feel like eating healthy, and because your motivation dips. So with that being said, motivation isn't really reliable. It's a really variable thing. It's up and down. It's not always going to be super consistent. Even the best players in the world, even the best, I don't know, artists, singers, producers, all these people, all these professions, the best of the best, they'll have days where they don't feel like doing whatever it is that they need to be doing to push forward and get better and get 1% better each day. But they still do it. And what is that? What is that thing that's replacing motivation? It's discipline. It's that word discipline. You guys might have experienced this where training might not be a lot of fun. Sometimes training can get repetitive, boring, redundant, and maybe sometimes not that enjoyable. That's because you need to do lots of repetitions. You need to do lots of things over and over and over again. Those seemingly boring, mundane things over and over and over, and mastering those, that's what takes you to the top. That's what builds progress. And that's not me coming up with this ideology or theory. Like, I'm not the guru of this information. I'm not a guru at all. This is just universally a known fact for sport and for anything really. It's those small things you do every day that might seem boring, that might seem redundant, that do add up to this bigger picture when you're at the top, so to speak, and you look back on. This is why fundamentals are preached so much, and this is why we preach fundamentals so much. So, yes, motivation is helpful sometimes. If you're motivated to get up at 5 a.m. and go train before school because after school you have to do homework and you don't have time, fabulous. That's great. But it's better to be disciplined 30 days out of the month than be motivated 20 days out of the month, if that makes sense. Because then you will get up those 30 days. I know what you're going to say, rest days. Yes, you can have your rest days. They're very important. But point stands. Discipline is what you replace motivation with. And I'm going to link this back to my own experience, because I think that's where I can relate to a lot of you is my own experience. I grew up playing in America. I started playing very late. Like, I didn't play on my first team until I was 15. And that is very late, very, very late. And at that age in America, at least on the teams I played in, they're not really teaching you a lot of foundational technical stuff in terms of like dribbling, shooting, passing. Like, team trainings are more about like scrimmages, 4v4, 3v3, 5v5. So these foundational skills I had to learn by myself. Um, And so I had to train a lot. I had to train individually a lot on my own time because I didn't have some personal trainer person who's gonna teach me these things. Train Effective wasn't a thing, so I couldn't really use that when I first started out in 2012. So I had to I had to go to walls, I had to dribble through cones, I had to do all these things by myself. And I was in school. So that whole thing of not having time did apply to me, so to speak. But I didn't really believe in that. I made time. I made time before school, but that's where the motivation comes in. 3 days out of the week, maybe I would be able to get up early, like 5 something a.m., sneak out of my house because my parents did not want me out that early in the morning because it was still dark out. I would sneak out of the house. I would either run or take a bike about, what is it, maybe a mile or so away, about a mile away, not that far. Looking back on it now, I would train at my local elementary school before the teachers would get there and the kids would get there because they had a big wall. They had a courtyard where you can hit it off lots of walls, and I would go train there. But here's where I lacked. That would happen a couple days a week. Those days where I woke up and I couldn't, I couldn't get up out of bed, and I wasn't disciplined enough to get up. That is what hurt me because I relied on motivation. I was like, if I feel like it, I'll go train. If I don't, it's gonna be tough. It would be tough, and it was tough. And you know what? Some days I did get up actually and go train. Other days I didn't. Now, granted, I was 15, 16 around that time, really young, so you are gonna have that. But the earlier you can instill discipline, earlier you can instill good habits, the better. So again, just to kind of reflect on that, motivation, up and down, varying levels. If you fully rely on motivation, you're gonna have some days where you're gonna go train, other days you're not. You're gonna really rely on what feels good in that moment. And oftentimes you're not gonna feel like training. When you're disciplined, you might feel like, excuse my language, shit. You might feel like shit. You might not feel good. You might not feel like training, but you're gonna go train. That's the right thing to do. That's what's going to push you forward. That's what's going to elevate your game. That's what's going to make you better. And that consistency is so, so important, guys. So, so important in developing anything. And that's essentially the premise of the message that I'm trying to get across. Replace motivation with discipline. And if you can do that, I promise you'll see lots and lots of results. If you think about it in the bigger picture of the whole year, think about all the days where you were really motivated to train. You're really motivated. Yeah, you might have a good amount of days actually, but think about the days that you're not motivated to train. Maybe it's rainy. Maybe it's light rain outside. I'm not talking thunderstorms, lightning, light rain outside. Think of those days where it's really hard to get out of bed, or it's really hard to put on your freaking, I don't know what you train with, indoors or cleats, depending on where you're training. Those days where it's really hard, that's where the discipline comes in. And then when you're signing your contract, or you're signing your letter of intent to play in college and you get a scholarship, all these things, when you're doing those things, you're gonna thank your discipline, and you're gonna thank yourself for being disciplined. And that's all I've got. A short one today, guys. A short one, a simple message, a very powerful message. Let me know your thoughts on that. Yeah, I'd love to have a discussion about discipline and motivation because I think they're such important topics. Yeah, and on YouTube, it's really easy to get sucked into the world of 2022 ultimate motivation, blah 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 blah. Good videos, nice videos. They'll give you goosebumps. It's great, but it's not always reliable. Yeah, it's not always reliable. With that being said, guys, make sure to join our Discord down below. It's in the link in the description below for Spotify and YouTube. It's popping in there. I try to interact in there as much as I can. Apologies recently because I've been in exams at uni, and this is the last podcast you'll see ever, probably in this room. So it's been real. It's been real room with the nice little backdrop with the Train Effective shirt. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Got like nearly like 2 million of you guys on there, man. Appreciate all the support, love. And lastly, everybody, make sure you're taking care of yourselves, you're taking care of your mentals, and taking care of your friends. Yeah, check in on your friends, make sure they're good. I know you guys have big goals, big dreams, big ambitions, but let's make sure to check in with each other and make sure everyone's doing well, everybody's doing okay, and everybody's calm and doing well on their journeys. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Until next time, you know what it is. Stay effective.